Hello, welcome to yet another weather lesson. I'm meteorologist Alexandra Cranford coming to you from my house, and we've been talking about all kinds of different weather topics lately in these weather lessons. They're at 1 p.m. here on WWL's Facebook Live, and today we are talking about a topic that some people have asked me some questions about, and like many of my weather topics, it's sort of on the fringes of meteorology, this one more astronomy. And so I wanted to get you guys some information about this asteroid that we've been hearing that's going to pass close to the Earth on Wednesday morning. So the thing is, it is of course not on a collision course with the Earth. Of course, it is a long way away. In fact, we're talking about millions of miles away from the Earth, but it is a pretty big object, and in fact, quite a big object to pass pretty close to the Earth. And so astronomers in laboratories have been watching it for a couple of weeks now. And if you're an at-home amateur astronomer, you might be able to see it if you do have a telescope. For those of us who do not have a telescope, there is a site. I haven't really gotten into it and checked it out a lot yet, but I'm about to after this Facebook Live. It's called the Virtual Telescope, and it's based in Rome. And so they're going to have the site, updated with a live look at this asteroid as it passes close to the Earth. So if you guys are interested in this, and especially my student friends who are joining me and interested in asteroids, and we've talked actually a couple of times now about meteors and meteor showers, that's what we're talking about today. So all the big points I will get to you guys in just a few minutes, and I'll try to keep this one kind of quick because we'll have more coming up on it later. But it is a big asteroid, and it doesn't really have a very identifiable name. Its name is long, kind of complicated, so that's why we're just kind of saying the asteroid. It's going to pass close to our planet tomorrow morning, Wednesday morning, and the closest point is going to be just before 5 a.m. So you have to be really dedicated, I think, to get up really early and try to see this in real time. It will be closest to the Earth at roughly 4:56 a.m. That would be Central Time that we have now. And again, if you want to see it, then you will need a telescope. And for those of you who do have a telescope, it's recommended to have at least a 6 or 8-inch primary mirror. And what you would want to do with that is point it south, kind of roughly near the constellation Hydra, and just kind of wait from about, I'd say maybe 4:40 or so until about 5 o'clock or just after 5 o'clock. And of course, those of you who do this kind of thing know that you'd probably see it maybe after kind of comparing the images, but it would just be that tiny spot that's going to be moving very, very slowly. It will take 10-15 minutes or so to be able to see it make its way across your screen. And if you don't have a telescope, again, this is not a bright enough thing to see just viewing it from Earth in the night sky. So unfortunately, you can't just go outside and look at it like you can with some comets or things like that. But again, there's the Virtual Telescope site, which I'll post a link to in the comments after we finish this Facebook Live. So the big stuff about it. People in laboratories have been watching it, again, since really weeks now. It's about a mile wide, a little over a mile wide, so it is big, and it's the biggest to get close to Earth this year. In fact, in the next 200 years, apparently this is the biggest known object that will pass pretty close to Earth, within less than 5 times the distance to the moon is how that is measured. So it will sweep close to us just before 5 a.m. No chance of a collision, no known chance of any sort of collision, of course. I think we would have heard about it if we were going to anticipate that with any of these asteroids out there, because they're all of these. There are many of these. It will be a safe 4 million miles away. So that does make me feel better, right? That's about 16 times as far as the moon's distance from Earth. And the next time this one gets close to Earth, it will be 59 years from now in 2079, and it will be even closer, but even then, it will be still 1 million miles away. Yeah, I'm seeing a comment about some apps that you can use to look up at the night sky. That is excellent. I don't have it on my phone, but I've seen them and they are great. And we've also talked about the star wheel that you can use as well, that I did a weather lesson on maybe a couple of weeks ago. You print out 2 pieces of paper, you kind of overlap them, and you're able to see hour by hour how the night sky is looking depending on what direction you're looking. So that's a pretty cool thing too. But for this particular asteroid, again, you're going to need a telescope to see it, or you could see it online. It takes, by the way, this particular asteroid, which I've seen some images of, in fact, some radar images of this, and it's roughly spherical. And for students who may not know, asteroids do, come near the Earth somewhat frequently. They're kind of all around our atmosphere. They aren't all round like planets, though. This one happens to be kind of roughly spherical, but some of them are jagged, some of them have irregular type of shapes, and these are all, these bodies of mainly rocks and minerals. A little bit different from comets, but actually both of them can produce meteors, but comets and comet debris is the more common thing to produce the shooting stars or meteors that we see, although asteroids can as well. Some are hundreds of miles wide in diameter. Some are as tiny as little pebbles. So a huge range of these kind of bodies that we refer to as asteroids kind of moving around our solar system. And they're made of different kind of rocks. Some have clays, some have metals in them, some have things like nickel and iron and so forth. So it is a term that you can use for a lot of very, very different sort of things as far as size or shape goes. But this one in particular is one that's coming pretty close, and it is big. So again, it's more than a mile wide, and it's going to be closest to us just before 5 a.m. Let me see if I had another thing to say. You may have heard about the term potentially hazardous asteroid. Have you heard of that? That has a bit of a definition, even though it sounds kind of scary. And that means, it has a definition that means coming less than about 19 lunar distances from Earth. So when you think about the distance from the Earth to the moon, multiply that by 19, and a potentially hazardous asteroid would have to be of a particular size and would have to get within that range of the Earth. And so this one, again, is about roughly 16 or so times the distance from the Earth to the moon away from us. But as I said, when it passes by us again, this same particular asteroid, it will be less than that. It will still be about 1 million miles away, which sounds like a lot, and it is a lot, but it is about 4 times by that point as far as the distance from the moon. So kind of some nerdy stuff here, but just in case you've ever heard that, it sounds a little alarming, a potentially hazardous asteroid, but again, it just has a definition that defines it as within about 19 lunar distances and of a certain size. So if you guys are interested in this, again, there is the site that I'm going to post in the comments, and hopefully you'll be able to click on that and kind of navigate around and find how it's looking tomorrow morning. Again, the big time that it's going to be closest is just before 5 a.m. So it will be very early in the morning that it's going to get close to us. And again, if you do have a telescope, a 6 to 8 or 8-inch primary mirror telescope would be a good thing to have. You want to point it, and there are some star charts that you can find online as well near particular stars, and then you would see it as that tiny star that appears to move across the sky at a roughly maybe 10 or 15 minute interval. You'd have to wait to see it move. And if you don't have a telescope, I don't have a telescope, but I'm going to try to check it out on that virtual telescope site, again, which I'll post the link to. And you can also, again, you can't go outside and see it with your eyes. It's not bright enough for that, and it's not quite close enough for that. But you can see it online, or if you have a telescope, you can see it. And actually, there are already several images, many images, that are appearing online and that kind of show the general shape. It also, by the way, rotates, and I think it rotates, what is it, about, let's see, thought I put that down in my little notes. It rotates, I think, about once every 4 hours or so. So it is kind of rapidly kind of changing to create this kind of cool view as it, continues to get a little bit closer to the Earth, then gets closest to us early tomorrow morning, and then passes away. Let's see. I think I covered some of the basics on asteroids for students. Again, when we see those beautiful shooting stars and meteor showers, that's usually from comets, which are more kind of dust and ice particles. And asteroids are a lot more solid and rocky and have clays and metals and things. And these are all things, just out there in space, kind of cool that we get to see things like this. And kind of amazing that so many predictions can be made. Of course, stars charts have, been around for forever, it seems. And then also with these asteroids, we can see, or, astronomers have already seen or predicted the next couple of centuries of movements with this particular asteroid. So pretty interesting, I think, to think about all of the math that goes into that, and that they already know all of that. So I hope that'll help you guys if you're interested in that. Again, it's going to be coming pretty close to us, and it is big, but of course nothing that we need to really worry about, just something cool if you happen to be into astronomy and want to see it tomorrow morning and have a telescope that you could kind of take advantage of. And if not, you'll see plenty of images, and actually could already see images, but its closest pass will be early tomorrow morning. Also tomorrow morning, by the way, we're anticipating some thunderstorms. So we've been talking about that, probably a line of showers and storms rolling through the New Orleans area. So we will be tracking that. A few of them could have some high wind gusts. So even though we've been having just this absolutely picture perfect kind of spring weather so far early this week, we will kind of change things up tomorrow morning. And then by Wednesday afternoon, lunchtime, and into the evening, things will be a lot quieter. I think this will be a kind of fast-moving system, but we'll be watching it. Again, it could be some kind of strong storms, lightning, some brief heavy rain, and also possibly eventually seeing the storms kind of bringing maybe some high wind gusts, possibly some hail. But our severe risk is a little bit on the lower end. I think that'll do it for today, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I've been seeing some of your comments. I only see a couple popping up, by the way, as I'm live at a time. So if I fail to answer one of your particular comments, it may have flashed up and then gone away before I could see it again. So thank you guys for joining me. We will be back tomorrow, I think at 1 p.m., assuming all the storms are gone. I'll be doing the noon newscast again tomorrow, so I'll be tracking probably the storms leaving the area by then, and then we'll be doing another weather lesson here on Facebook Live at 1 p.m. And we will be back, I think, next week too. So these weather lessons are going to continue. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow afternoon on the noon newscast, and also at this Facebook Live, our weather lesson. So have a good rest of the day. Take care, guys.